One of the biggest things I'm going to preach on this channel is keep the head protected. I have over 45 fights to my name, thousands of sparring rounds, and I know the main mistakes that people make which compromise their head when they are throwing shots. When they throw something and they leave their head open, I'm going to go through a list. I want you guys to stop making these mistakes today so you can keep your health, your brain health intact. The reality of fight sports, for me at least, is if you have a semi-good defense, you can stand back here, let the other person throw, and hopefully parry and get away. You can angle off, step backwards. That is not the massive concern for me when you are going to get tagged and knocked out. The time when this happens, very often for people, where they come forward and they get clipped and they go completely unconscious, it's actually when they're throwing a technique because their momentum is going forward, they're thinking solely about offense, and they're not ready for any counters that may come. So please be sure to watch this whole episode and get all of these on point. Make sure you're not making mistakes so you can keep yourself as healthy as can be. Mistake number one, and I just saw this the other day when I was doing a private, it was not a Zoom private, it was an in-person private. And so when people come from here, they go to throw their knee and the hands come down there, or the hand comes down there. A lot of gyms will teach this. Hands here, swing down, or here, swing down. What's gonna happen? If the person, literally, they beat you to the punch, they see you start to throw the knee, you step in or you're in place, they start to throw the knee, you come with the big overhand, and boom, you're on the floor, especially because you're on one foot. It's a terrible position to be in. I've seen high-level fighters get knocked out with this. I've seen many lower-level athletes who do this for fun get punished because of it. If you shouldn't have your hands down here and you shouldn't have a hand swinging out, where should you have them? That should be the big question now. Two main options, in my opinion. Number one, very similar to when we pull our hands to our hip. And by the way, you can do this, and they might teach this, but that's when you've grabbed somebody's head. You've connected, you've grabbed, you drag them in, which is gonna throw them off balance. It's gonna make it harder for them to land punches. Not impossible, but harder. So you could connect here and drag down, and you're gonna create a lot of damage. But if you don't have any connection to their head, instead of pulling here, pull here. Just pull across your face. It's pretty much the exact same motion you can see. One hand stays to the side, but instead of coming to the hip, it comes up to the jaw, and the other hand crosses over the torso. Same thing up here, except now I have a blinder, a block, to make sure that any straight punches or even overhands that come are not going to land against my head. Option number two is to extend your arms out. You will see many high-level Muay Thai fighters do this. Instead of keeping their hands tight and throwing them across the face, they will extend the arms and throw. And they'll do this because if you can sort of imagine, I guess, maybe a different martial art style, Wing Chun, I a lot of times call it sticky hands, where if you see somebody about to throw, you just make small adjustments and you put your hands in the way. You could connect to them. Of course, you could step forward, put your hands against their hands, and then as you throw your knee, if they make an adjustment and they start to throw maybe a right hook, then you lift your elbow and you block. You could do something like that. I like that one as well. You could be here, throw, or you could be here and toss those arms out. Both are great, but we want to avoid dropping or swinging one arm down. The next big mistake, which I really don't like, is when a lot of gyms teach, and do not be mistaken, a lot of gyms are still instructing this way, you throw a roundhouse kick. Where do your hands go? One arm can swing, absolutely, but then they're concerned about, straight punches that are gonna come down the middle, so they teach you to throw this arm across. This does two things, which I really don't like. Number one, your momentum's coming this direction, but now you're throwing your arm the opposite direction. It's counterintuitive. You want to pull with this arm backwards, so it works into all the body mechanics that we're already utilizing. But number two, we're not worried about a straight punch. You should already be out of punch range with a little tip back. You're worried about a round kick coming, whether I throw a low kick, a body kick, Maybe they start the head kick and I'm just a step behind and then boom. So this hand, instead of being in front, should be out to the side. If you can remember that, you're gonna protect yourself that one day where a round kick flies up to your head, is maybe you're chopping a low kick and then you get caught right in the face. The next super common error that happens is people correctly like to move their head off the center line as they throw punches. It's a great idea. It makes it harder for people to land punches, but when you drop your head off the center line and somebody round kicks you, you've just thrown your head into the round kick. If you don't have the opposite hand high to your head, I come forward with a jab, I'm like, oh, this guy in front of me, he has really long arms, I'm gonna push forward, get my head off the center line, make sure the other hand stays up. So if they happen to round kick, you at least have one hand to protect your head. This is so important. Again, I have seen many fighters get knocked down because of this mistake. If you're gonna tip your head, and it's not boxing, if it's boxing and you want to drop your head to the side and they're throwing a shot, you're fine. In fight sports, if I throw a jab and I see him drop to the side without covering the head, next time I'm gonna come like that. Or that's why so many people like Super Bond have had so much success. They'll come off their cross, wait for the guy to slip, boom, boom, because the person is not protecting their head properly as they fade down or they lean off to the side. Any slip in a fight sport with kicks should be done with a hand high. And this is especially prevalent when you're stepping forward, you're gonna throw your shot and you're dropping your head as you punch. Dial this in, it'll save you. It'll save you one day when a big head kick comes up, and hopefully you're gonna train it, you're gonna drill it, and then down the road you're gonna thank me for it. The last common mistake that I wanna talk about is people trying to land shots to the body. Very often we have this idea that, okay, if I'm gonna go to the body, I wanna keep my head away because I don't wanna commit forward into a punch. But a lot of times then what you see, because they don't wanna have that commitment, they'll end up doing that. Kind of like pulling the head back and chin high to stay away. Anybody on this channel who has even a little bit of skill level will know that is wrong, but it still happens naturally. Make sure you practice. I come up to the head and I drop. Shoulder tight, opposite hand tight to the head, chin tucked, and you can set up anything, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can land, but still keep yourself protected. 1, 2, protect. That's gonna save you big time. This was a fast episode because I really wanted to dial in on just those 4 aspects of where people make big mistakes and they're gonna get countered and really pay for it. There are so many others because anytime you step forward and throw something, you compromise yourself, but those are the ones that are the most important to dial in right now. So thanks for joining me, guys. As always, train hard and I will see you back here soon for another video.